If you've tried cutting out gluten, dairy, taking random probiotics, or going on a low FODMAP for more than a month and a half, and you still feel bloated or in pain, it might be time to stop guessing and actually test what's going on with your digestive system. As a registered dietitian that specializes in digestive health, I use a powerful tool called the BiomeFX, which is a functional stool test. It's not your average stool test. It goes deeper to uncover the root of your symptoms. And for those of you who are new, my name is Naria and I talk all gut health. So let's get into the episode. So let's start with the basics. What is a stool test? Because I know I get a lot of questions on what's the difference between the GI doctor stool test, the primary care doctor stool test, and my stool test. So let's get into functional versus conventional stool testing. Now, traditional stool tests typically look for infections like parasites, C. diff, or H. pylori. On the other hand, functional tests like the BiomeFX goes way deeper. They tell us how your gut is functioning, not just if something is wrong. You see, that is key. So, how is the BiomeFX different than other functional stool tests? The thing is, friends, not all functional stool tests are made the same. I know, if it couldn't get any more confusing, sorry guys. Now, the thing is, the BiomeFX uses advanced DNA sequencing to identify and measure the genetic material of your gut bacteria. This is key. It's the most advanced functional stool test right now. Why? Well, because this method allows to detect a wider variety of microbes than traditional tests. Because we don't just want to know who's there, meaning what bacteria are in your gut, but we want to know what those microbes are actually doing. Think of it this way. It's like getting a report not just on who's at the party, but how they're behaving, what they're talking about, and if they're cleaning up or making a mess. As I always tell my patients, we want to see the whole picture, not just if something is wrong. We want to take a step back. Why is that thing wrong? Take a step back. What's the root problem there? How many steps back can we take to get to that root problem? That's the key, friends. It's not just, oh, this is wrong. You have inflammation. You continue to have H. pylori infections. You continue to have these issues. Well, then we want to ask why. And that's where tests like these come in handy, where it allows us to see where the balance is, what microbes are there, what job are they doing, or what job are they not doing, to give us better insight to create a personalized plan. So, what does the Biome FX actually show? Let's get right into a few things that I think are key for these tests. The number one thing, it allows us to see the bacterial diversity. What is this? Well, this measures how many different types of bacteria live in your gut. But why does it matter? Well, a diverse microbiome is a resilient microbiome. Why does this matter? Well, a diverse microbiome is a resilient microbiome. This is huge. Think of your gut like an ecosystem, like a rainforest. The more species you have, the more balanced and stable everything is, and the system is pretty chill. However, low diversity has been linked to conditions like IBS, autoimmune issues, depression, and obesity. What's one way that diversity decreases? Well, let's say you always eat the same 5 foods over and over again. Your gut bacteria get bored. They have personalities too. They have their own food preferences just like you do. And the thing is, they start to die off. This, friends, reduces that diversity and opens the door to inflammation and other symptoms. Next key thing of the functional stool test, BiomeFX, which I use, it allows us to see the ketone species. So, what are ketone species? Think of ketone species as literally the VIP bacteria of your gut. They may not be the most abundant, but their impact is massive. They support an entire ecosystem. These bacteria really do matter because they produce compounds that reduce inflammation, protect the gut lining, and support the immune function. And guys, I can tell you that many times when people take antibiotics or they're focusing on gut health, they're really not even considering their gut lining. or levels of inflammation. And unfortunately, this can lead to those issues or those digestive issues just lingering for years, years, and years. Now, just a few examples of keystone species that the BiomeFX measures. The first one, which you may have heard of, is Akkermansia, but specifically Akkermansia municiphala. Sorry if I'm mispronouncing, but these are so little rough words. So this guy supports the mucus layer that protects your gut lining. It also measures Faecalibacterium prausnitzi. Again, these are a little rough, but this one reduces inflammation and supports immune health. So think about it. If those first two are low, how may you be feeling? How is your body able to recover if those two fighters aren't present? It also measures bifidobacterium, which helps produce vitamins and break down fiber. So think about this. If you don't have that one and you're eating fiber, which is key to feed the bacteria in your gut, but it's not being broken down, then you're probably dealing with a lot of bloating and inflammation. And you're thinking, if I'm supposed to add fiber back, which is good, why do I keep having bloating? You see how these things start to connect? So many times when you're going to the doctor and maybe you just have diverticulosis, but maybe you have a sneaky IBS that no one told you about, and you continue to add fiber for the diverticulosis, and you're thinking, why don't I get better? It's probably a keystone problem. So let's put all of this together now. What if those keystones are low? Well, if they are low, you may be more prone to leaky gut, food sensitivities, autoimmunity, and fatigue. You see, a lot of the conditions most people have are actually tied to their keystones. But if you're only going to the GI doctor and you're still having symptoms and you're not testing further with functional testing, it's going to be very difficult to fully heal those issues because you don't know which keystone is high or low and you don't know who to feed or starve. Next, it also considers short chain fatty acid producers. But what are short chain fatty acids? Think of short chain fatty acids like butyrate, acetate, and propionate. Think of them as anti-inflammatory compounds, which are made by good bacteria fermenting fiber. So again, you see how we always come back to fiber? Yeah, that's why I'm always talking about it. So why are they crucial? Well, they feed your colon cells, literally. They reduce inflammation and heal your gut lining. How many times have you heard me talk about gut lining? It's important. Now, butyrate in particular supports brain health, immune regulation, and even metabolism. Are you having difficulty losing weight? You see the connection here? Now, how BiomeFX identifies which microbes are producing these short chain fatty acids and whether you have enough of them. So essentially, the BiomeFX helps identify which microbes are producing these short chain fatty acids and whether you have enough of them. Now, if short chain fatty acid production is low, it often explains symptoms like brain fog, loose stools, poor focus, food intolerances. You see, all this test does is gives us clues, it gives us insights that conventional testing doesn't go into. Next reason why I like the BiomeFX. It looks for imbalance. Think of this as dysbiosis. But what does dysbiosis mean? The BiomeFX doesn't just test for infections, it looks for imbalances. Think of it this way. Certain bacteria are fine in small amounts, but harmful when they overgrow. Why does this matter? Well, too many opportunistic microbes can cause symptoms like bloating, gas, diarrhea, constipation, skin issues, fatigue, brain fog. That's the problem there. Now, what are some examples of this? Well, high levels of Klebsiella or proteobacteria may drive inflammation. Overgrowth of methane producing bacteria can slow down motility and cause constipation. Have you been diagnosed with IBS with constipation? This may be a clue for you. See, conditions like IBS are literally BS because it's basically the provider saying, we don't know, it's outside of what we test for. So we're just going to label you with IBS with constipation or diarrhea or unspecified where you have constipation and diarrhea. But the thing is, it's probably just a keystone balancing or a pathogen overgrowth thing that if you were to address that, the IBS could actually be healed. I do this for a lot of my patients and it works marvelous. I literally can't wait for the day that insurance companies start to accept or pay for functional testing because I'm going to tell you a lot of you guys will be healed and can actually move on with your lives. Okay, now I'll go on a rampage there. So now let's get to the next reason why I like this test. I also like it because it tests for digestive efficiency and metabolic activity. So what does it show? It shows how well your gut is breaking down carbs, protein, and fats. Are you working out, getting all the protein in the world, but you're feeling sluggish or brain fog? Think about that. The thing is, you want to think, are my microbes producing the right enzymes and nutrients? Because if the answer is no, you're probably not breaking down that protein the way you think you are. Why is that important? Well, first, you want the gains, right? But anyhow, well, think of this. Poor digestion can lead to gas, bloating, nutrient deficiencies. That's why it's important, friends. Functional testing shows why your body may be reacting to certain foods, not just what it is. Now, I know many times when we're dealing with digestive issues and we have no guidance or we feel abandoned by the providers or the system, we just take supplements. But instead of throwing supplements or diets at the wall to see what sticks, you get a personalized action plan with functional stool testing. You just have to find the right provider. I do suggest if you're dealing with digestive issues to, of course, get a gut health functional provider, not just general. I say this because I get a ton amount of people who go with general functional providers and end up still working with me. And I think we could have first saved money, and number two, you could have felt better a long time ago if you would have worked with someone who specializes in the digestive system. What are some examples of personalized approach? Well, let's say we run your BiomeFX and you have low Akkermansia. Well, what we would do is say, well, we want Akkermansia to be high, so what does Akkermansia want? We would increase the polyphenols from fruits like cranberries, pomegranates, and green tea because Akkermansia loves that. We really would want to make an environment that Akkermansia would want to stay. Or let's say you have a low amount of short chain fatty acid producers. We would be working on adding resistant starches like green bananas, oats, or cooked potatoes. Or let's say we see that your test is showing that too many protein fermentation microbes are present. What would we do? We would adjust your protein intake and pair it with more fiber, and of course, gradually ease into increasing your protein so you can get those gains. So, in conclusion, friends, functional testing, like the BiomeFX, takes the guesswork out of what is healthy for your gut, what your gut needs, by showing you exactly what's going on with your gut microbiome. Whether you're dealing with IBS, autoimmune flares, or just want to feel better in your body, this is where I start many of my patients with. Want to learn more about what your gut actually needs? Click the link below to schedule a free discovery call to determine how functional testing can help you see the bigger picture.